For those of you here in attendance, I would ask that you please silence your cell phones so that we don't have any interruptions during the meeting. And if you haven't been here before, I will present the item, and then we will go to the staff and they will present their summary of it. After they're finished, you'll come back to the Plan Commission. We will discuss technical questions, ask technical questions of staff, and then we will open it up to the public. At that time, the petitioner, anybody from the public who would like to speak to the item. After that, we'll bring it back to the Plan Commission, and we will have a motion, and we will vote on the issue. So with that said, please call the roll.
Mr. Coulibaly.
Aye.
Navy. Councilmember Ford.
Aye.
Mr.
Or
Grove.
Here.
Mr. Kiefer.
Here.
Mr. Mitchell. Mr. Perry.
Present.
Mr. Marshall. Ms. Prop.
Here.
Chairperson Hens.
Present. Okay, we need an motion to approve the minutes from the July 20th meeting. Accept a motion in a second from anyone.
So move.
Second.
Moved and seconded. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, little housekeeping here with our commission. First off, items number 1 and 2, I've been informed that the city staff would like to combine those two, and I just want to make sure everybody on the commission is okay with that. Can I do that by a voice call?
Are you okay with them presenting the entire project for you at one time and separate votes on the 2 items?
Sure.
Yep.
Okay, so there we go. Go to item number 1, public conditional use permit request for an off-site parking lot at 130 Jocelyn Street, and item number 2, which is also going to be presented, and then we will vote on separately, will be the specific implementation plan amendment for building and parking lot additions at 110 North Sawyer Street. Turn it over to you.
Thank you. All right, so the first one is for a lot to the east of Lourdes Academy. It's on the east side of Jocelyn Street, north of Witzel Avenue. It's about an acre and a half in size. Here's a view of the land uses, predominantly commercial uses and some residential uses, including a multifamily residential use to the north. The site currently has 4 storage buildings as well as a gravel parking area, and the property is zoned urban industrial. Here's the site plan. The applicant is proposing to construct a surface parking lot for Lourdes Academy students and staff. It will have 96 spaces, and one of the existing storage buildings will remain. As it's an off-site parking lot, it will require a conditional use permit, as off-site parking lots require CUP in the urban industrial district. The site will have 2 access driveways off of Jocelyn Street. It will meet all setback requirements for the UI districts, and it will be under the maximum impervious surface area for the UI district. Here's the lighting plan. It does appear that it may be exceeding the maximum 0.5-foot candles along the north and south property lines. So that's something we'll want to verify that they're not exceeding that during site plan review, but they are meeting the lighting requirement of 0.4-foot candles for all driveway and parking areas. Here's the lighting plan. It is meeting street frontage landscaping requirements. For paved areas, it is short of the point requirement for shrubs, as they're showing perennial plantings meeting that point requirement, which have been overcalculated, so they need to swap those out with evergreen or deciduous shrubs to meet that point requirement. Also, there are some parking row end trees they'll need to add, as code requires all parking row ends to have a deciduous tall tree. That can be addressed during site plan review as well. There's a buffer yard requirement along the north property line along that multifamily property. They are providing evergreen landscaping and fencing to meet that buffer yard requirement. And so with that, staff recommends approval of the conditional use permit for off-site parking lots at 130 Jocelyn Street. And then on to the next item, which is the SIP amendment for Lourdes Academy. So the site is located directly to the west of the previous site. It's a 13.5 acre parcel with frontage on Witzel Avenue, North Sawyer Street, and Jocelyn Street, surrounded predominantly by commercial and residential uses. It is zoned institutional district with a planned development overlay. In 2014, a planned development for expansion of the Lourdes Academy site was approved, and that included a new elementary school, renovation of the existing parking lot, and construction of a new parking lot. However, that project was never constructed. Here's the aerial view of the subject site as it currently exists. The applicant is now requesting an SIP amendment for building additions and reconstruction of the parking lots on the north side of the site. The project includes, in addition to the elementary school, which will be 9,149 square feet, addition to the high school, which will be 19,150 square feet, and also an area reserved for a 7,200 square feet future elementary gymnasium. The proposed additions and a new parking area will meet all applicable setback requirements. The new reconstructed parking lot will have 73 parking spaces with a one-way entrance from Jocelyn Street coming through to Sawyer Street. So the site currently has 152 parking spaces. The reconstruction resulting in 73 spaces, along with the off-site parking lot across Jocelyn Street with 96 spaces, will result in an additional 17 spaces versus what they have now, and that will meet the parking requirements for elementary and middle school, and as well as secondary school requirements under the zoning ordinance. Here's the floor plan. Again, on the left we have the elementary school addition, and on the right is the high school addition. They are proposing wall signage for the building additions on the northwest and east elevations, and they appear to be compliant with institutional district signage standards. Here is the landscaping plan. For building foundation landscaping, they are again using perennial plantings on the plan, which have been overcalculated, so they would need to exchange those out for evergreen or deciduous shrubs to meet the point requirement for building foundations. For paved area landscaping, the plan is under the point requirement for shrubs, so they need to add some more shrubs around the parking lot, and also missing a few parking rail end trees as well. The street frontage landscaping is being met with the exception of one additional tree that will be needed along Jocelyn Street, a medium tree, to meet the 50% medium tree point requirement under the zoning ordinance. For yard landscaping, again, they're applying perennial landscaping, which has been overcalculated, so you need to swap those plantings out with deciduous or evergreen shrubs to meet that yard landscaping point requirement. Here are the building elevations for the elementary school and the building elevations for the high school. And for both additions, it will be consist predominantly of brick veneer and glass window and door areas, and it does appear to match the existing brick exterior of the building. And staff is recommending a condition that the brick veneer match or be substantially similar to the brick exterior of the existing building. So staff recommends approval of the SIP amendment with the findings and conditions in your staff report.
Okay, and seeing as I always seem to do this at the beginning of meetings, since I just took this over, I forgot to ask, were there any site inspections? And we accept the staff report as part of the record. Now, technical questions. Let's see a lot of shaking heads in there.
So, I wasn't under the impression the foundation requirement were not met, or did I get that right?
They'll have to add some additional plantings. They use the perennial flowers calculation, which is a little misleading in the code. It's actually one of the things we're planning on updating because it is a bit misleading, and it doesn't get you the number of points you think it does. So we'll work with the applicant to revise those and make sure it's a code-compliant landscaping plan.
Anyone else? Okay, if there's anyone from the public that's here that would like to speak in this item, step up. Please state your name and address for the record.
Ken Kozakowski, for Ganther Construction Architecture, W4719 Palmer Court, Sherwood. Just want to let us know that we're here for any questions, boards, as well as civil engineer. So if there are any questions.
Thank you. Anyone have any questions? This one's pretty straight. Oh, Kathy?
One quick one. Will you spruce up the storage building that remains on the off-site parking lot? I mean, the exterior of it.
Yes. Yep, sorry.
Yes, the plan is to make it look presentable and newer looking, like the construction is gonna be in the parking lot. So it's like a nice building, and as everything is.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Anyone else? Thank you very much. Not seeing anyone else from the public, bring it back to the commission for, on item number 1, motion.
Motion to adopt the findings and recommendations as stated in the staff report.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion? See none, let's call the roll.
Mr. Colabali,
Aye.
Councilmember Ford,
Aye.
Mr. Groth,
Aye.
Mr. Kiefer,
Aye.
Mr. Perry,
Aye.
Ms. Prop,
Aye.
Chairperson Hens.
Aye.
Motion carried 7-0.
Okay, now we move to item number 2, which was presented on. Do we have, I guess, technical questions on that? Nope, not seeing any. I don't know if there's anything to add. If anybody from the public wants to speak on this, now's your time. Okay, we'll come back to the commission for motion and discussion.
Motion to adopt the findings and recommendations as stated in the staff report.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. Any discussion? Call the roll.
Mr. Colabali,
Aye.
Councilmember Ford,
Aye.
Mr. Groth,
Aye.
Mr. Kiefer,
Aye.
Mr. Perry,
Aye.
Ms. Prop,
Aye.
Chairperson Hens.
Aye.
Motion carried 7-0.
All right, now we'll move on to item number 3. Zone change from institutional district to institutional district with planned development overlay and approval of a general development plan and specific implementation plan for property located on the south 1000 block of West Smith Avenue, Oshkosh North High School athletic fields. Do we have any site inspections? I'm on there too. And we accept the staff report as part of the record?
Yes.
Now you go.
Around lunchtime today, we received some revised plans from the applicant. And due to that nature and us not having a chance to fully evaluate them and get you a revised recommendation, we've discussed with the applicant holding the GDP SIP portion over for 2 weeks so we can get you those revisions and any required base standards based on that updated plan. We would still like to move forward with the zone change today, as ultimately that keeps them on the same approval timeline, because the council reading takes 2 hearings for zone change. So ultimately, it won't delay their timeline at all, but give us a chance to just adequately review that GDP SIP.
Thanks, Mark.
Okay, so yeah, as Mark mentioned, we're just going to be approving the zone change. Subject site is Oshkosh North Athletic Field on the north side of town. With Oshkosh North being on the north side of West Smith Avenue, and this is the athletic field. And it's a close-up view of the subject site. The applicant's requesting to place a plan development overlay on top of the existing institutional district. And this is for a planned development to do field upgrades for a multi-purpose synthetic turf playing surface, some lighting, some new fencing. As Mark said, we received a revised site plan this afternoon, and we're still awaiting some other updated plans, so this will be brought back to you in 2 weeks. The plan development overlay will be necessary to grant base standard modifications to some of the proposed site improvements that do not meet base code. So with that, staff is recommending approval of the rezone to IPD as requested.
And like I said, we'll be bringing back the GDP SIP here in 2 weeks once we just have a chance to fully take a look at it for you.
Okay, do we have any technical questions? Not seeing any. Okay, we'll open it up to the public. Is there anybody from the public here to speak on this item about the zone change? Okay, not seeing anybody. Bring it back to the commission for a motion discussion.
Motion to adopt the findings and recommendations as stated in the staff report.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any discussion on the? Seeing none, let's call the roll.
Mr. Colabali,
Aye.
Councilmember Ford,
Aye.
Mr. Groth,
Aye.
Mr. Kiefer,
Aye.
Mr. Perry,
Aye.
Ms. Prop,
Aye.
Chairperson Hens.
Aye.
Motion carried 7-0.
Okay, item number 4, specific implementation plan amendment for a building expansion located at 2530 West 9th Avenue. Do we have any site inspections? I don't know, can we even drive past there? Okay. And we accept staff report as part of the record. Turn it over to you.
Okay, so we're looking at a specific implementation plan amendment for a new building addition located at 2530 West 9th Avenue. Let's see here, what do we gotta do? Click.
Just the right button there.
So, as I stated, the property is on West 9th. The road directly to the east of this property is Southwest Haven Drive. This property was developed as a planned development that was approved by Common Council back in 2012. And so today what they're coming before you is to construct an addition on the east side of this property, as stated here. It's approximately 657 square feet. This was part of their original plan, and it was stated in that plan as a building addition. And so this is just kind of, I guess they're at that point where they need the extra space. Within that same construction, the current patio that is there will also need to be reconstructed, and that's this area here. So within the landscaping plan, they provided some foundation, some building foundation points and some yard points. They were deficient in the building foundation points by 6.08, and we can address that during site plan review, potentially just by moving one of these arborvitaes within 10 feet of the building would suffice, because they're way over on the yardage, or the yards points that are needed. Up here. So here's some elevation views. Again, the addition is this section here. If you're looking at it from the north, if you're looking at it east looking west, this is, you know, all of the new addition here. Here is a half wall where the new patio space will be, matching all of the same materials as the existing building. And with that, staff recommends approval.
Okay, thank you. Technical questions. Tom?
With this, I'm assuming it's either new tenants or expansion of current tenant. Does this affect parking at all?
Their parking lot is still adequately sized. They always plan for this expansion. It's in just a slightly different configuration that originally was proposed, which is why we're bringing it back. If it had been exactly as was part of that 2012 plan, they wouldn't need it to. It's just some slight modification to it, which is why we ran it back through.
Thank you.
Okay, anyone else? Not seeing anyone else. Anyone from the public here to speak on this item?
Okay. For this one?
Someone approaching.
Michael Puyoff with Keller on behalf of the petitioner, N216 State Road 55 in Kaukauna.
Thank you.
Any questions regarding architecture or design? We can
Anyone have any questions?
I guess not.
Guess not. Thank you for coming up anyway. Anyone else from the public here? Not seeing anyone. Bring it back to the commission for a motion and discussion.
I move to adopt the findings and recommendation as stated in the staff report.
Second.
Okay, moved and seconded. Any discussion? Call the roll.
Mr. Colabali,
Aye.
Councilmember Ford,
Aye.
Mr. Groth,
Aye.
Mr. Kiefer,
Aye.
Mr. Perry,
Aye.
Ms. Prop,
Aye.
Chairperson Hintz.
Aye.
Motion carried 7-0.
Okay, we've blown through the agenda. Mark, was there anything you guys had for the end of the meeting, or are we good to?
Nope, that's it.
So, accept the
Motion to
motion.
adjourn.
I'll catch them quick.
Aye.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Now we get to stay.
That was easy.
Now it's workshop time.
Record time.